Crane and the Cowboy, we are just about running out of July, and this is the final night as we come to you on this Thursday of the Democratic National Convention in Philadelphia. And like her, love her, hate her, she's making history, Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton made history. She's the first female nominee of a major political party, and wherever you sit, you got to think that's good for the country. We're breaking another barrier. On the other hand, she's really a typical Democratic candidate, very liberal, and she's, in fact, even gone farther to the left. So on the one hand, it's history, and on the other hand, it's the same old thing.
You know, this is a very interesting election from the perspective of who can you trust. Hillary Clinton has a lot of question marks there. Even Bernie Sanders, he was elected as an independent senator from Vermont. He decided to become a Democrat to run for president, and now he doesn't get the nomination. So guess what? He's back to being an independent.
I know, he's back to being an independent again. And I think he did that, quite frankly, because his people are so upset, and they're more upset than he probably anticipated. Bernie started something, and you know, sometimes when revolutionaries start something, the revolution gets out of hand. And I think this revolution has said, thank you, Bernie, for waking us up, but we're moving on without you. And I think that's for him, you know, they say, well, why doesn't Bernie control his people? He can't.
Some of the numbers from this Democratic convention are interesting. Hillary Clinton accepts the nomination this evening with about 60% of the Democratic delegates. Bernie had about 40%. Of course, he threw his support to her. But what about the 40% who wanted Bernie? Where are they going to go?
Well, I think that the name Jill Stein is going to start becoming more and more popular with progressives. You know, you remember in 2000 when Nader ran. Mm-hmm. Nader kind of heard Al Gore in a lot of different places, and that was before social media.
And this is also, you know, Perot,
yeah,
Senior Bush, too.
Same thing. Yeah. But if you look at social media today, look how people are organizing. Do a petition drive. You get 150,000 people to get on your petition. So social media is going to drive things. And for Jill Stein, she could hurt Hillary in a lot of places. Now, you know, Trump could get hurt by the Libertarian candidate, Gary Johnson. So all of a sudden, I think the third parties are going to have a role to play they haven't had before because you have two candidates that are disliked so much.
Or it could be a wash because you figure Stein and Gary get maybe, what, 15%? Maybe it's split 7-8 each way?
Yeah, so, but they are going to have much more of an effect than ever in the past, and I think one of the big differences is social media.
All right, how about this factor? I don't know if you want to call it apathy or disappointment, but the 40% of Democrats, and maybe some young Republicans even who switched over, who like Bernie Sanders, will they just say, I'm not going to vote? You know, the fix is in. The emails have shown that they want to get Sanders out early. Maybe we don't like Trump enough to go vote for him, but we'll just stay home.
Well, they have three options, like I said, and Trump's one of them. So some people will say, you know, Bernie didn't have all hardcore liberals. He had some people, working guys on the outside saying, hey, wait a second, I might not like Trump, but boy, I don't like Hillary, so I'll go for Bernie. So we don't know where those voters are going to go. I think party loyalty is getting less and less and less. And that's why it's going to be hard to predict this electorate. So all these people that are making predictions, you know, I heard Joe Trippi say, well, we're just going to go park Joe Biden out in Pennsylvania. For what? Oh, because he's Lunch Bucket Joe. And I always say he's Lunch Bucket Joe, never carried a lunch bucket.
He is from Scranton, Pennsylvania, but that's just one state. I mean, it's an important state, but we have about 49 others. Donald Trump, now he had some interesting comments the other day. Was it a senior moment? He referred to Tim Kaine, K-A-I-N-E, the vice presidential hopeful on the Democratic side, as Governor Kaine of New Jersey, which was Tom Kaine, K-E-A-N.
Right.
He had to know the difference. He knew Tom Kaine. He dealt with Tom Kaine when he had his casinos in Atlantic City. Yeah. What do you make of this?
I make of it much ado about nothing. So he made a mistake on the state. And Democrats and media, did you see, look what he said, look what he said. Come on, I mean, it's like the comment on the Russians. When he says, hey, Russia, if you're listening. And I've learned one thing from you, Ed. Yeah, that's a New Yorker talking, right? That's a New Yorker.
Are you accusing me of being sarcastic?
No, of course. No, but you know, it's you taught me, and I'm
guilty.
As soon as I listen to it, I'm thinking, oh, that's great. You know, that's a good old New York punch in the gut. And everybody's going, oh my God, he's giving away national security. No, he's not. She's the one who gave away national security. He just pointed out, and it forced the Clinton people to admit that there might be something in those emails that they don't want anybody to see.
Oh, this email thing is interesting. Because I want to say it's great and it's sarcastic because it's, as a news person, as a journalist, you just love to see this stuff. The email scandal breaks WikiLeaks, and immediately the Clinton people say, well, it's the Russians.
Yeah.
And if it's the Russians, it has to be Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then they say, these 30,000 emails, the Russians could have them. And as you pointed out, Hillary said that, well, these were personal emails, so I deleted them about my yoga classes and my wedding. Now, anybody who has 30,000 emails over yoga and a wedding, you got to wonder if they're lying to begin with.
Well, of course, and you know this nonsense about, oh, it's the Russians. What about the content of the emails and what it showed about the staff at the Democratic National Committee? I read a story this morning that
they buried it. That's the
yeah,
spin.
of course. Oh, well, it's not that. Look over here. It's the shiny object. Ooh, ooh, ooh. But, you know, I think that's not going to make any difference. I think the guy who's going to decide this election might be Julian Assange of WikiLeaks.
Well, as we come to you here on Thursday, he has promised more. Keep in mind that this evening, Thursday evening, Hillary Clinton will be accepting the party's nomination, but will there be something really embarrassing to steal her thunder? It
could be coming out soon. I expect it.
All right, we'll be back with more after this. Crane and the Cowboy on thelibertyplaybook.com.
Huddle up!